Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap. So happy to be here with you guys today on a big Wednesday edition, a Victory Wednesday, a Halloween Wednesday edition. Any of you guys going out trick or treating with the kids tonight? We're gonna have to talk about the Squid Game. We're gonna have to get you guys ready for that. I know that Rodolfo's here to hear about it for sure. Rodolfo, so good to see you, my friend. Tyler Finley, good to see you. Colby S, Tex Guy. Oh my goodness, is this Gosh, Tex Guy, is this another year where Alex hides the kids' candy? No, we're going to talk about the ultimate candy strat here in just 1 second, for sure. We're also talking about your best Halloween costumes. That'll be the theme of the day today. As Blake has gotten the thing updated, Blake Travis up like 5-6 feet. We're really doing it, buddy. We got the lake up. We got Halloween. We got a Victory Wednesday. We got K-State on the docket. A bunch of great stuff to get to today. Money B, of course, yes sir, it is indeed fun as hell. Thank you so much for tuning in. Jay Ward as well, Warren, Richard Arias, so good to see you all, you guys. Justin Walker, Gary, Big Daddy Lewis. My gosh, a bunch of our friends already here in the Specs chat line. If you guys could, just a quick reminder off the top, if you could like the show. I know that all you guys that are already in here, all of our loyal friends are always know to like the show and subscribe to the channel. But just another reminder, I have it right here at the top of my show sheet. We'll also be taking your emails. If you want to email me, alex@rosterwatch.com. I actually took to the old chalkboard today. Decided all this talk about this 3-3-5 stack that Sark apparently can't play against and can't draw up a play against. I said, well, why don't I just go ahead and put on my coaching cap and see about taking about 5 seconds to draw up my own little play out of this thing to show there's going to be a million ways to attack this K-State defense. And that's going to be one of the things that we're going to talk about. Not only how to, maybe some ideas for attacking the K-State defense after I watched a few of their games earlier today, but also some important things on the defensive side of the football that Texas is going to need to do with this offense, because I'm a lot more worried about the offense than I am about any cockamamie 3-3-5 stack that everybody else seems so concerned with. And what I need to do is I just need to find out where the data is on this, and find out whether this is correlation, causation, what exactly it is, to where where this idea that Steve Sarkisian, of all people, one of the guy who's thought of among coaches, was one of the nation's like preeminent play callers and offensive minds. He can't handle one of the most common defensive wrinkles that people generally use in this game of American football that we all love so much. We have so we're going to talk about that. We're going to clean up the defense. I just wanted to just kind of talk about a kind of interesting thing that I found on Baron Sorrell when I was doing the actual deep dig column. We talked some about Baron Sorrell yesterday, but I'm going to tell you why, man, he's really he's way far ahead of where he was last year. And we're gonna talk about why, because it's an interesting thing to look at. And just a couple other things. There were a couple of guys on defense that really made big jumps up the rankings that we didn't get to talk about yesterday, because as usual we just ran out of time because there's a million things here on the old show sheet. So we got that. I watched the Chris Klieman press conference today. Pretty impressed with Chris Klieman. We're gonna go over the press conference. There are probably some things for Texas to worry about here in this K-State game. I'm beginning to think that it's going to be a test, and maybe that means that I think that might mean that Texas just blows these guys out, right? What do you mean? I made sure to get in today. I made sure to get in today early because I did tell Blake I ordered one of our shirts, that cockamamie shirt. I'll tell you this: it is a cockamamie shirt, that's for sure. When I ordered it, it's like the lettering is too high, so we're gonna have to get that fixed. Thankfully, it doesn't. I shouldn't say thankfully, but thankfully, it looks like the only things people have ordered are the regular logo T-shirts and the logo hats. And thank you guys so much for hopping in and getting those. Of course, we have merch available. Blake will put that up, the link for the hats. We've ordered all the hats. All those hats are cool. Blake even wears his hat on the show. So we're going to talk about that. The Chris Klieman PC, how to attack the K-State defense. We'll take your questions, of course. Hit us in the Specs chat line, and we will get to those. And if you have a question that you want me to get to immediately, or something super dire, or if you just want to support the show and the channel, it's always nice to send a super chat. We always get to those as fast as we possibly can. Wanted to talk about waivers and fantasy football. It should be an interesting week on waivers this week. If you're man, a lot of good teams on bye. We got Detroit on bye, has a lot of good fantasy players. San Francisco's on bye. Gosh, for me, it just stinks having Jacksonville on bye with all the Travis Etienne that I have. For sure. And then we also have or Blake, do you think we'll get to the Texas Parks and Wildlife Division's seeking public comment on the chronic wasting disease disposal?
If we can, we just got to go quick. We just got to start knocking out topics.
All right. How to stop K-State? Make sure that Avery Johnson doesn't kill you. Okay. There we go. All right, CWD. Are we getting on to it? No, I'm
first segment.
There's a whole lot more to get to besides that. Also, The Athletic projecting Texas to go to the Cotton Bowl and face Washington. Would you be happy with that? Would you take it right now, sight unseen? Hey, what is this? Why is Tyler Finley asking if it's late as hell? I wasn't late, was I? Today we weren't late.
I thought we were on time.
Right on time.
Also, you got to keep in mind the stream is a little bit delayed, like 15, 20 seconds. So if we're like a tiny bit late, we might be right on time.
Cody Carpentier says 3 Texas thoughts. Stop playing backups. I couldn't agree more. That goes into one of the first thoughts that I've had whenever I look at this team. And I think maybe the best way to do that is to go through the Chris Klieman press conference. He sort of talked about some things that I think Texas needs to mirror as far as what they're going to be doing, right? And so we'll get into that. But dude, in this game, especially on the defensive line, Texas can't be playing their backup D-line guys. They cannot. It needs to be Byron Murphy. It needs to be Tavondre Sweat. Man. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, let's wait. Well, I'll get to the rest of Cody's things here. 2, stop the casual play calling, and 3, utilize your Doak Walker. Okay, so Cody's already saying that Jay Brooks is coming home with that Doak. Okay, but utilize him more and earlier. They're going to have to. I think that they know that they're going to have to, because against these stacked defenses, that's one of the things I always talk about. It's one of the you got to stress C gap. And but look, we're going to talk about all that stuff. Like I said, I've actually gone into I've gone into the lab, and I've taken a pen and a sheet of paper, and I've put together a play on paper that there's going to be a million plays like this where you can conflict guys, right? They're going to need to, but one of the things that's going to be most important is just making sure that you completely exploit C gap, right? You got to exploit C gap versus these guys. There's going to be the ability to do it. There are going to be ways to do it. And we'll talk about all that whenever we get to the Chris Klieman stuff. As far as what Cody said for his first thing, saying quit playing the backups, I think one of the reasons that we saw Trill Carter so much last week was, do you guys remember versus Houston? Everyone got hurt. Like, everyone got hurt. It was like, oh my God, Terrence Brooks is hurt. Oh gosh, Gavin Holmes, he's hurt. Oh, Alfred Collins, he's hurt. What happened? I don't know. A million different things happened, right? And I just wanted to look at the deep dig and just see if that had to be the least that Alfred Collins has played all year last week. I'm not sure if it's true. I could pull it up. It could be his biggest participation of the year. It sure didn't seem like it to me. 18 total snaps, right?
Mm-hmm.
27.27% of snaps. Now, we know versus U of H, he should have played more than this, right? But he got a little bit hurt versus U of H. So let's talk about the games that were actually close games, right? So OU was a close game. Alfred Collins, Alfred Collins, 48.7% of snaps, whatever. Kansas. Was Kansas even that close? Did backups get in versus Kansas? I forgot if backups got in early versus Kansas or not.
Oh, how early? I mean, it was not a close game in the end, but
So yeah, so backups got in. So backups got
Yeah,
in, or I mean, well,
pretty late,
pretty
but they did
late, but
get in.
still, we're still talking about a nice. We're still talking about a a what
Good long series.
good long series here,
Yeah.
like a 10-play series that maybe got kind of chopped off. So there was that one. If we go to the, let me just go back to what was it? The defensive player participation I was looking at. What was I looking at? Okay. So there was that. Alfred Collins is right here. So Baylor, not a close game, right? Only 33% of snaps. Wyoming, close game, 58% of snaps. Alabama, close game, 60% of snaps. Rice, not a close game, 35% of snaps. So he was obviously not playing as much in this game, which led to Trill Carter playing a lot. And whenever Cody says stop playing your backups, I know that Alfred Collins hasn't been that good this year. He's not been a guy who you would depend on and say, man, we just have to get Alfred Collins going this week. He's got to, Alfred Collins has to have an Alfred Collins week, because if we say Alfred Collins needs to have an Alfred Collins week, what that means is that
like one sack and a couple tackles. That's like a big Alfred Collins week.
oh, hold on. What is Colby S saying here? This is bigger than anything than I know. K-State mods saying K-State isn't very good on the road and they don't think Avery Johnson will play. Okay,
It's an interesting tidbit.
I don't know anything about that. Blake, is there anything like, can you type something into Slack and ask anybody if Catch or anybody knows anything about Avery Johnson possibly not playing? If so, that changes my view on this game drastically, because Avery Johnson is a G.
I mean, they were still doing a heavy dose of Will Howard in the last game, right?
Well, yeah, but that's the issue. Is the issue is the issue is Will Howard is good. Avery Johnson is a phenom. He's a phenom. He's a guy you just need to get in there. He's fast as hell. He's quick as hell. He's decisive. The way that he can move and the way that he can cut. Well, okay, so they said so they said that he's stepped up and he's taken, but it isn't about Avery Johnson being hurt, right? I mean, Will Howard's going to be the first guy out there, right?
Yeah, I don't think he's talking about an injury thing. I think it's just Will Howard is kind of taking control of the role back.
Yeah, especially after. Okay, no, well, I'm like, dude, I don't think those K-State mods know what they're the best thing that Texas needs to do is they need to be prepared for both of those guys. They're absolutely, they've found something with playing both those guys. They've really just gotten something going. When we talk about Klieman and what he said, I mean, we'll discuss it, but he's happy. He's as happy as a puppy with two Peters about this thing, man. He loves it. He just loves it. He thinks that what he's got with it, and what he's saying is that with Will Howard, that you have it's like the opposite, right? Because Will Howard, you would think about the guy, proficient passer, experienced, clean as far as what he does and kind of what he's been able to put on the resume as far as passing efficiency. But lately he started to do damage with his legs, and he has. If you watch back these last couple games, if you watch some of Houston, if you watch some of Tech, you can see that he has. But Avery Johnson, the one who really, dude, he's a spark freak. He's a guy who, like, I didn't know like what a recruit he was coming out, and the fact that Kansas State was able to keep him home in Kansas was something of a big win for those. Like, it was a big win for that program. He's a good player, and he was saying, it's kind of like the flip flop. It's like, it's like Will Howard's been showing this stuff with his legs, but then it's just like the opposite of what you think. He's been showing us these things. Avery's been showing us these things with his arm, right? And teams are thinking they just needed to, like, he's just coming in, he's just going to run the football and kind of do what he does. Avery Johnson, he tested as with the 4.54 and the 40. I think he plays faster than that. Klieman says, and this wasn't in his press conference, but I just saw it when I was searching for the press conference earlier today on X. I was searching for it today, and so I came up again across the quote saying, he's by far the fastest player on our whole team. And if that's the case, he's faster than a 4.54. He plays faster than a 4.54, and his vertical, his 3-cone, all this stuff. I guess he went and did the test. I guess he went and did the testing at one of the, I don't know, one of the opening or one of these things, right? He had like a 105.8 spark score, which is just absurd. This is not a dude that you want to let out open into free space. And so when we talk about ways to attack Kansas State, which I've come to the determination that this looks like a well-prepared team. This looks like a coach that knows what he's doing. This is not going to be this won't be a walk in the park. This is going to be a close game. The betting line would indicate it. Let me go to Cockamamie PFF just real quick and see if that thing's changed at all. Have you heard anything about it changing today, Blake?
No, I haven't checked the line. Let me see.
Let me just look. All right, so it now has
4.5.
So Texas is still 4.5. What did we say that the percentages were yesterday?
Oh
gosh. So it's switched up a little bit here.
Yeah, it was 55 on the tickets and 58% on the cash.
For Texas?
Yeah.
Okay, so now Texas is 61% on the tickets and KSU is 51% on the cash. So that's a little reverse line movement against the public. The sharp bets are coming in now on Kansas State minus the 4.5. If that number continues falling as far as the cash number for Texas, I'm not necessarily sure it's something that we need to be worried about. We saw the weird reverse line movement last week, right? But that was not a money versus public kind of thing, right? Because everybody was taking what was it? They were taking the points, and they just kept making the line even more. They kept giving them more points. They just kept giving them more and more and more. And there was no money on Texas. And that was like a weird reverse line movement in the fact that it was the casinos going against the cash and the public. And clearly they were, I guess they were right. They were right. They ended up raking in all the money from everybody. It doesn't feel like the casinos are doing anything here to adjust to this as if they have the same confidence, right? Tex got 2 saying it was 20 points. I forgot. It got up to 3 touchdowns by the end, right? It got up to 21, yeah. or did it end at 20?
Yeah, it might have been 20.5.
Okay. There's in the same kind of, it's not the same dynamic this week, but it's still a reverse line move in the sense that it's not a reverse line move. It's just there's a sharp indicator towards Kansas State, because there are less bettors on Kansas State, but there's more money on Kansas State. And it looks like if that trend continues, we'll just have to see. It's a concerning trend. There's a lot that concerns me about K-State. What I wanted to just clean up about defense before we get into more K-State talk, how to attack them. What do you do? How do you deal with these Wildcats? Man, Blake, when I was in college, these Wildcats – and just right after the time that I was in college, they were always such a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
Snyder, these guys, they'd always be like that was even before the transfer portal, where Snyder would just go find these transfers and these JUCO guys, right? And, you just think back to the days of just like, how can they not stop this little 5'5" Darren Sproles? How could they not do it? How can they not, what is it about all these guys that I always talk to Cody about this. It's like, he would tell me, or people would say that the Darren Sproles comp for Deuce Vaughn was kind of lazy just because they came from the same school, right? Like they came from the same school. And I'm like, well, for one, how many of these 5'5" guys do you really know about? 2, how many were that productive in college? How many, kind of had this same style of player? How many would just dominate football games, completely take them over at that size? And 2, it's not a mistake that kind of player ends up at a school like Kansas State. Mm-hmm. It just isn't. They end up at a school like Kansas State because they have some kind of fatal flaw, not a fatal flaw, but they have a flaw. They have something that made them be overlooked by somebody else, right? Deuce Vaughn's dad was on staff at Texas. whenever he was being recruited, right?
Yep.
You don't give scholarships to dudes that are like 5 feet. Probably at the time he might have been 5'4" or something. He had to grow into
Those
that.
guys pan out. I'm sure Ketch would have an exact answer, but a very low percentage of the time at those measurables. Like it just doesn't. It's very rare. But when it hits, then you go. You got Darren Sproles, you got Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah, or you got you sometimes you have you have guys who come in from like didn't Byron Pringle kind of come from K-State after he transferred in? Wasn't he, or was he just from a Cal?
Where was he from?
He wasn't Kansas. Was he just a Kansas kind of JUCO guy? I can't remember. I think he played it like, but he played somewhere, but then he transferred to K-State. Like they bring in these guys. Like they got Tyler Lockett's little brother on this team right now.
Butler Community College, yeah.
But he didn't play at K-State.
No, and then he went to K-State.
Okay, yeah. Like they have Tyler Lockett's little brother on the team right now, and I'll bet you he turns out awesome. But he's just small. You know what I mean? Like they get these kind of like Lockett. I mean, they get these guys. They always made the most of them. They were a pain in the neck to play back when I was in school and right after I got out and going to watch these games. I always remember, and maybe that's part of why this K-State team worries me. They have some players that are worrisome, man. It definitely starts with Avery Johnson, though. That's the kind of guy that we're gonna talk about that. We'll get to the keys to kind of stopping him. I want to talk first though about the Barron Sorrell stuff. So we'll get that kind of knocked out and out of the way. So we had discussed on the show, Cody and I discussed on the Friday Final Takes about how.
Wait, hold on. Here's another one. Jordy Nelson.
Jordy, right? It's just you kind of look at him. You're just like, is that your prototypical X wide receiver? You just kind of think, well, and then you kind of looks like a coach on the field to me. A little bit of a gym rat, a little bit of a, that's just like sometimes it's weird. Sometimes coaches pass on those guys. So Barron Sorrell got his second sack in this last game, and look, everyone saw it, and I feel like that was just a reminder of the fact that we're now going into we're now 8 games through the season. So we have 4 games left. So, so we're 8 games through the season. Just a reminder that last year, Blake, what did he have? 5.5 sacks last year? I don't have the deep dig pulled up anymore. I shouldn't have shut it down. Here, I'll pull it back. Let's see, the Market Master. Okay, no, I don't have it from 2022 at all pulled up. Maybe you can look that up. I think it was either 5 or 5.5.
5.5, correct.
I think the deep dig only had him at 5. Regardless, it doesn't matter. He's not on the pace to he's not on the pace to get back there, right? We need to remember though that's not like it's all sacks. That's not all the only way that you can affect the opposing team. It's not the only way that you can affect the opposing passer. And if you watch him in isolation and watch his every play, you could see this last week very, very, very clearly. And this was against that against that left tackle that's supposed to be some kind of second round pick, which is talk about cockamamie. That's more cockamamie than that shirt that just came in the mail. Like it is that's so bad to have that guy ranked high. I would take the Houston kid over him. I certainly would. So he's playing better on the whole in 2023, Barron Sorrell, than he did in 2022. So you can compare the snaps per production cause numbers, which we did last week, because after this last game, that's even gone higher now, right? So now his snaps per production caused is once every 9.52 snaps. Last year, via the deep dig numbers, the numbers that I chart from every game, I've been doing it for the last 11 years. We know exactly sort of the baseline level of where you want these guys, right? I generally tend to think once you get above 10.5, 11 or something like that, you're pretty much on you're underperforming, right? You need to get under there, and if you can keep it there at volume, great. If you can be like let's see, if you can be I don't have their exact numbers pulled up right now, but let's say if you so like 8.4, Jalen Ford, he's fine. He got back to playing like he should be playing last week. Jalen Ford played really well. Jalen Ford in that last game, what did he do? He had a bunch of tackles. bunch of tackles, but then he also had what U of A? No, that's U of H. Sorry, BYU. I did that the other day. Whenever I clicked on the wrong game. Whenever Cody asked about the TCU game from last year, and he's like, "This says Barron Sewell had 3 sacks in that game." I'm like, "What? I have him for like a half a sack. What? I need to go back and look at this." So all right, in this game, Jalen Ford, he had 3 quarterback hits, 1.5 TFLs, like racked up like 4 total tackles. If you add in the TFLs, that's another it's like eight tackles probably that the school had him as, because the school is totally poppycock, and they double count it, right? They give him a TFL but also count it as a tackle. They get a sack, and so they get a sack, a TFL, and a tackle, right? So he got back to playing like he needs to be playing. Okay. But if we go to look at these guys up here at the very top on the production sheet post BYU. So yeah, Tavondre Sweat, 5.73 snaps per disruption. Anthony Hill, 5.74. Byron Murphy, 5.76. God, these guys are close right now. Close. They're all playing, like we always say, Joseph Osai stuff, Malcolm Brown stuff, Hassan Ridgeway stuff. Even better than Malik Jefferson.
I mean, in the 5s is elite. That's really
it's like it's otherworldly. These guys are all gonna be, like Tavondre Sweat is just moving up draft boards. He just has to be. Anthony Hill is going to be here for 2 more years. Byron Murphy's going to need $1 million to come back to Texas. It's just it is what it is, if he even decides to come back. Okay, and so whenever we have Barron Sorrell, we have him now. So last year he was at 16.15. Even with all those snaps, right? Even with all those snaps, or sacks, right? Right now, Barron Sorrell is sitting at 9.52. It's clearly a ton better. Okay, so you ask, well, what does that mean, Alex? What does it mean? Well, we have 4 regular season games left, and the numbers are this. So right now, Sorrell has 22 tackles. His 2022 total over 12 regular season games was 26 tackles. So he's already almost there. He already has 4 QB hits. That's as many quarterback hits as he had all last season. So through 8 games, he has as many as he had all through last season. We're 2/3 of the way through the season. Okay. And all the regular season last year. So if we talk about, see, the deep dig doesn't double count, right? So it doesn't say a sack is a quarterback hit and a pressure. Those are 3 different things, right? Three mutually exclusive events. A sack is where you sack the quarterback. A hit is where you hit the quarterback as he's throwing the football, right? Or you get to him right after he throws the football. You hit him, you knock him down legally, right? If it's not legal, then it's a penalty. And then pressure is just like you get back there, you flush the quarterback out of the pocket, you try and hit him, try and sack him. You don't do it, but you mess up the play. You get pressure on him. The announcers are saying, "Oh, Avery Johnson under pressure. He's got to roll out. Makes a bad throw." Right? That's a pressure. So if we just look at pressures, so like non-sack, non-hit pressures, 13 so far this year, by far the leader on the team. That's exactly as many as he had all last season. He also has as many run stuffs as he had all last season. So he's not a giant run stuff guy. But he had 3 run stuffs all last season. He has 3 run stuffs this season. He has a pass breakup this season. Certainly didn't have that last year. And again, only through 8 games.
And he had another one that we didn't even end up counting, right?
Well, that was that hustle play. That was
the hustle play. See, that didn't even factor in, but that was a phenomenal play.
Yeah. We have some questions in chat. Ted Appear's got a good one about 21 personnel. Darwin Lemon has a good one about buy or sell. Anthony Hill is the team's best linebacker right now. I'm going to answer those. I'm going to talk about how to attack Kansas State while also doing it through the lens of looking at what Chris Klieman had to say about Texas and how I think your coach speak whisperer. How I think the Kansas State. What are they? The J Cats? What are they? The Stray Cats? What are they? Wildcats. How these Wildcats plan on coming to Austin and taking on these Longhorns. Of course, we also have Taco Tuesday on Prize Picks. And Blake, what I should have done yesterday is done the Costanza. I should have gone against the Taco Tuesday. I should have gone against every pick that I made otherwise, and it would have been a straight perfect one because I went 0 for
We do
4.
it.
So, hey, this time we're going Costanza all the way on the Prize
There we
Picks
go.
Taco Tuesday. We'll also get to your questions. We'll also talk some waivers for fantasy football. And, of course, we have to talk about the new CWD carcass disposal proposals. We have all that and more next.
And Texas has played kind of an uneven brand of football at times over the course of the month of October. I got to just honestly, like, I can't tell you the game that it's going to happen in, but if they don't start playing more like September brand of football and less like October brand of football, I think there's a possible loss in there for Texas. And, you know, this is a major moment this is a crossroads moment for Steve Sarkisian because they are on the cusp of really having a great season. It's been a great start. Quite frankly, 7-1 at this point in the year, given how long it's been since they've been with that record, 8 games into the season, an absolute success. But if they fumble it away in these last 4 games, the only thing that people will remember is the fumbling away part. So it is impaired. This is, I mentioned it a week ago, Steve Sarkisian has to be at his best. It is one of the wild cards going into Saturdays. What do you get from this offense? What happens when Sarkisian gets off the script? They're going to probably be really good in the first quarter. And I think one of the keys to this game is getting ahead early on Kansas State and making them play outside of their comfort zone. If Texas can go up 14-0, 14-3, 21-3, like they have each of the last 2 weeks, I think that's exactly what the doctor ordered. But Texas got to play better in the middle of these football games. 2 weeks in a row, they've essentially gone 40 minutes of game time with not good offense. They didn't score at all for 37 minutes of game time against Houston 2 weeks ago. And yesterday or Saturday, 40 minutes, I think it was like 40 minutes and 3 seconds or something like that. Slightly more than 40 minutes where Texas had one offensive possession that ended with a touchdown against a bad defense. You know, they have to play better against Kansas State or they can lose that game.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Football with friends is fun as hell, man. Specs is fun as hell. Tonight's a great night to go over to Specs, get some of those little bottles of, like, you know, I wouldn't say get Fireball. I don't want Fireball. All right. But
Fireball's kind of nice when it's cold out. I kind of like the cinnamon. When it's real cold out, I don't mind a little Fireball.
It's gonna be chilly out. You can get some Fireball. I wouldn't turn down any Fireball when I'm out tonight. We're going over to the master plan community that's like 5 minutes down the road where my kid's school is, right? So we're gonna be going. We can't trick or treat around here. We'll fall off the cliff into the creek. And there's no street lights allowed in my neighborhood, so it's definitely not made for trick or treating around here. Yeah. Plus my neighbor is my neighbor is like a equestrian horse ranch. So it's like to get to the next house, you got like, it's like 26 acres. You got to walk on. It's like, it's like a half-mile walk to get to the next house. So we're gonna be doing that. But yeah, dude, go to Specs. It makes everything a lot more fun. Wine, spirits, finer food, world-class service. It's all about you. Everything you've needed since 1962, and it all rhymes. It's also easy for me. It's so snappy and good. Okay. Charlie Williams saying that he saw Niblet in the fourth quarter. I haven't gotten to the fourth quarter on offense yet, so that'll be interesting to see. I mean, he certainly hadn't played a lick all season since the Rice game. Okay. So there was a couple questions. Sammy saying the Big 12 really will be decided this weekend. I don't know if the Big 12 will be decided, man. It's a consequential game, though. It's more consequential than I thought it was going to be. And here's the thing: Texas can win. I don't want people to think.
Well, and not just the Texas game, but there's also Bedlam as well.
This is not doom and gloom time to time to worry. Texas is going to need to be on its best, though, man. Like they're facing a K-State team that is certainly feels like they're hitting their stride. right? They're hitting their stride.
And Texas
And
is not.
well, it's just you can't say that they're in the best spot because
Yeah.
the red zone stuff is still worrisome, and there's the big elephant. Oh, look at the gorilla over there in the corner, the big elephant in the room. It's like, oh gosh, their quarterback. Yeah, I mean, we don't know what to expect this week out of Malik Murphy. I'll be really interested to see how Sark is on. What is tomorrow, Thursday? These days just blend together tomorrow's Wednesday. Today's a taco.
I did check though.
A Taco Tuesday. These days just blend together when you do all this work, get these shows ready and write these columns and do these waiver podcasts. It's God. Then after this, I got to head right over there to trick or treat. But on Thursday, I'll be interested to see how Sark's vibe is and stuff like that. I don't get the sense that he is. Do you remember how we used to say about Jalen Milroe? He just go to bed at night, like lift up the pillow. It's a spooky Halloween tale, right? Lift up the pillow. You see Jalen Milroe's face just looking up at you like, he did not want to let that guy loose. You can't do it, right? I hope that they have somebody simulating him in practice. I hope there's a Savion Red right now that just there's a scout team quarterback playing Will Howard, and then all of a sudden on some third down and 6, this other little dude comes in and they're going real quick and he's clapping his hands and he's getting the ball in shotgun, and who knows what the hell he's going to do next. Well, that's what it's going to be with this guy. They would be crazy. It would be a dereliction of duty not to use Avery Johnson if he's fully healthy. And there was the stuff about the KSU guys saying that whatever, Colby S was saying about how he listened to
whatever. I mean, it's going to depend on how the game goes. Maybe K-State starts out with that plan to just go with Will Howard, but if they get behind and they're going to have to switch things up at half or whenever, Avery Johnson's going to get in the game for sure.
Yep. There were some other questions. So, Tyler Finley said I need to answer his question too. I can't find where that one was.
I think he's just referencing his fantasy.
Well,
question.
That's it. I have that pulled up, and I'll tell you this, Tyler Finley. He's basically, this is a question where he's just like, do you have any advice for what I should be doing with my team? And he lists me out his whole roster, and it's a super flex team, and so that means he can start 2 quarterbacks. This must be an 8-team league because clearly he's dominating. He has Joe Burrow, Kirk Cousins, Tua, CJ Stroud, and Kenny Pickett in Superflex. He has Breece Hall, Kenny Walker, Najee Harris, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, James Cook, Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne. He has Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Deebo Samuel.
What is this roster?
And then he has Evan Ingram, Chigo Okonkwo, Michael Mayer, Logan Thomas. He's like, it's very difficult to trade because nobody wants to trade unless they're getting the best deal. Any advice would be appreciated. My advice to you, Tyler Finley, is just keep doing what you're doing. Like, why would you want to trade? Keep that team. You're gonna win your league, dude. The only thing, and there's a couple of these guys you have that honestly, man, like guys like Devontae Adams, Devontae Smith, you'd have to be selling low on them right now. You'd be selling low on Deebo Samuel. You'd be selling real low on Quentin Johnston. You don't want to be doing that stuff. Just keep that team together. I would generally say if you didn't have Devontae Adams, my big move right now, at least in redraft, is trying to go after Devontae Adams. Okay, Ted Appear 1 saying, Alex, did you see Sark run some 21 personnel, which I called last week? I'm not saying. I'm just saying. I'm Ted Appear. I'm just saying, which I called last week. We all surprised by 3-back, the Diamondback formation. I haven't gotten to that on the offense yet, and I was doing Sirius XM radio during a whole ton of the game. So I had Cody here during the game. His wife kind of came in during the game. So you guys probably know better than that.
Well, I just remember seeing the play, and I figured,
when was it? Was it when they got down to the goal line?
No, I don't.
Because when they get down to the goal line, generally what they do is that 23 stuff, right? Where they have Byron Murphy, CJ Baxter, Malik Agbo. I'm
trying to remember. This was a different
Gunnar Helm and JT Sanders.
And this was a different play we hadn't seen before. Different formation.
Well, hey, how exciting! I'll be able.
It was at midfield. Yeah.
I'll be able to watch it, but I'll have plenty of analysis on that for you. I'm sorry I don't have it right now, but I will tomorrow. Okay. Let's see. There was somebody else who asked a question. Oh, somebody asked if Anthony Hill is the best linebacker at Texas. Of course he is. Of course he is. He's one of these. He's one of. I mean, he's one of the best in the. He's one of the best in the conference. He's up there with. He's.
Would you trust it? Like, would you trust him in Jalen Ford's role, like playing that many snaps at this point?
100%, absolutely.
100%.
It was Jalen Ford and Anthony Hill. That's the way. That's the logical conclusion that we're coming to, Blake.
Yeah,
like that's.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just.
It was a 75-25 last week. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, he's taken over Benda's role completely.
75% of snaps, man, to 25% of snaps. We went over it. David Benda, dude. Here's the thing about David Benda. Whenever you're out there and you're looking over, you're out there and it's the end of the game and the Texas is ahead 35-6 and the clock's ticking down 4 minutes and 30 seconds, 4 minutes, 29 seconds, all this. No one's calling any timeouts. You look over to your right, you see number 18, Leongo Lafau. You look back behind you, you see number 14, Xavier Bryce playing his first 4 snaps of the season at outside corner, right? At that point in time, you realize, oh, all right. My job's been taken.
Yeah.
That's just the way it goes. At least it was for that game, right? At least that's how it was for that game. Yeah. I think he asked how I would compare what was it? Who was it that just asked this? I just see it on the side. Okay, Tyler Finley. He's asking, how does Anthony Hill compare to Micah Parsons? I guess you could say that they're similar. They're similar players. I don't know. I think that Anthony Hill, though, has a skill set to where we'll just have to see how he develops. I don't think he's going to be a guy that you're naturally just going to say he has to, at the pro level, he has to spin down to be more of an edge kind of guy. I think he could play really well in space. I know that Micah Parsons can too. I don't know if he has the natural. We're just gonna have to see. Do you remember Micah Parsons' bend and just his closing ability? Like we see this all the time. I think Anthony Hill can get there. We haven't seen it out of him yet. You can certainly project him to kind of get there. I'd say for now he profiles a little bit more as a dude who will play in sort of the same role he's playing now. He'll play in the NFL. That's a big cool thing about the role, the role that he's playing. That's kind of how I see that. Was this it? Okay. I'm not sure if that was anything. What do you say we talk about really quick, Chris Klieman, what he said today about this team, because it comes together with some of the things that I sort of see with how Texas should be attacking Kansas State, right? So Klieman said that Texas is playing really well. They're playing at a high level. Both sides of he just said both sides of the line of scrimmage are problems. He said the skill guys are problems, special teams. He said what really jumps out to him is Texas special teams. He said as far as coverage units and, of course they had the big return last week versus BYU, but he said that the coverage units, he said that those guys are just hard. They're hard to block. They're real. He mentioned this also with defense, saying that and I've never heard this term, being around so many coaches, going to all these clinics and stuff. Have you guys heard this term, block destruction?
Mm-mm.
I've never heard that.
No.
So destruction is that's just like destructing, it's like but I guess that's a term. None of my coaches ever you know what that is, right? You don't want to let people get into your body with their hands and stick on you and stuff like that. You want to be able to get off blocks.
Yeah.
But he mentioned that word twice. Maybe that's just kind of one of his words. People have little peccadillos and words and cockamamie and things. Tremendous is another word of Chris Klieman's, but he just mentioned their block destruction on their coverage units. He said they're just really, really hard to stick on. He said, but our guys are confident too, and they're excited coming off a great win. He said there are some things that we need to work on, but when you haven't allowed a touchdown, and he just said in a lot of quarters, I don't know how many quarters it's been. Maybe Blake, can you look and see how many quarters it's been since they've allowed a touchdown? He said you're just doing good things defensively, if that's the case. That was versus Houston. That was last week, right? I just watched the games. I didn't necessarily think of the order. How did the order go? Tech and then Houston. When were those?
Oh, it was let's see. So they lost to Oklahoma State, beat Tech 38-21, beat TCU 41-3, and beat Houston 41-0.
Whew. So that's at least 8 quarters without allowing a touchdown. 41-3 and 41-0, huh? Texas, I mean, look, man, we don't talk about the transitive property here because it's stupid, right? But, the transitive property, this team beat this team. And so if I beat this team, that means I'm going to beat that team. Or this team lost to this team. But let's say, okay, the Bears lost to the Packers, right? And we beat the Packers. And so, of course, we're going to beat the Bears. That, like, the transitive property does not apply to football games. But Texas didn't beat Houston 41-0. And
I will say, I feel like we need to revisit that Houston game because Texas was up 21-0. They should have boat raced Houston. Like they should have. They didn't. It turned out to be a real close game.
Their defense, their deep. Well, I don't. Do you want to revisit that game?
I'm just saying.
I want to do.
God. I'm just saying they should have boat raced Houston.
Okay. Well, exactly. They should have done what K-State did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
K-State's been getting the job done more so than Texas for sure.
I'm telling you. I mean, and versus the one thing is versus Tech. There was a time where in that Tech game, Tech is bad. Okay, that's one realization that I've come to this season that I'm standing by. Baylor's bad. Tech is bad. And that's just what I'm operating on. And so whenever during that game, it did feel like for a while there that Tech was. Tech was do this stupid stuff. This stuff where they would just have the center and the quarterback in the middle of the field, and they would take 5 other players and put them on the way far sideline and 4 others and play them on the way far sideline, right? And the K-State guys, I hate to say it because I kind of said it about BYU and it didn't necessarily come to fruition, but it feels like a K-State defense. They're a smart bunch. They look like they're kind of older and stuff. They got this linebacker, number 41. Blake, can you look up his name? Number 41. He's gonna be an issue, but we'll talk about how Texas can how they can look to maybe make him a little bit less of an issue. It really is going to have to do with Jake Majors and the way that he handles the nose guard, number 99.
41 is Austin Moore.
Austin Moore. Just keep an eye out on him. He's the one that jumps out to you the same way that like number 2 and number 28 and number 22 just jump out at you when you watch Oklahoma, right? I can't believe I'm forgetting their names. Who's the stud OU linebacker? I'm forgetting his name. Stutzman. He kind of reminds you of a Stutzman. He flows so well. And it has a lot to do with the way 99 keeps him clean, but we'll talk about that in 1 second. He said that he talked about how, look, man, on offense, on third down conversions, we're killing it. We're killing it in the red zone. We were 5 for 5 last week. We're just excited about that. We could play better, but we have some things going. Like we're hanging on to the football. We haven't had turnovers. Our third downs have been awesome. Our red zone offense has been all this stuff. I mean, these are things that Texas can't really say right now, right? And so it feels a little bit like Kansas State's hitting its stride. Texas needs to conjure up something and do some things to make sure that they stay on schedule versus this team. This is a team that's operating right now with a lot of confidence. You could tell by their coach. You can tell by the way he talks. He certainly gives a lot of reverence to Texas the same way all these coaches give all this reverence to Coach Sark. Why I always just laugh so much about not that I would laugh at any of my friends here in the Specs chat line or anything like that, or anybody on Orange Bloods and stuff, but people who just say that, Stark stinks as a play caller. It's just like, well, every coach in the country thinks he's like, they look at him and they talk about him like he's some kind of savant. Whether or not you feel that's justified, that's up to you. Look, I'm not here to tell you I'm not here to be your dad. I'm just here to talk with you. We're just here to be friends. They asked him, does Texas look different? He said, "Look, I always think Texas looks good." He's like, it's just I mean, like we talked about earlier, you recruit K-State, you see the athletes that Texas has, you're always going to think that they look good because whether Texas has been good or not, they certainly coming off the bus, they got some athletes that look better than K-State's athletes. They just do. There were guys that Texas got that K-State clearly would have offered and like would have taken sight unseen had they wanted to commit to K-State 85% of the time, 95% of the time, right? But he just says this is the best Texas team that he's seen in 5 years. He's been there for 5 years. He says this is the best team. He just said I don't see any weakness on either side of their team. He says especially on special. He kept talking about special teams.
Special teams, man. He just loves Jeff Banks, huh?
Yeah, he said playing with a ton of confidence. Very, very, very disruptive.
Well, I guess he watched that worthy punt return last week and went, "Oh man, yeah, we can't let him do that."
For sure. Somebody asked me about the physicality, how it's going to be, because they said, Texas got some big dudes on that defensive line, some big dudes on the offensive line. And he said, man, like offensively, what we need to do, right, as far as facing Sweat, and he didn't say Sweat, but that's obviously what he's thinking. That's who people look at. I can't believe he weighs 365 pounds, man. I still can't believe it. You look at these NFL guys that are the giants people talk about being just the huge mega mammoths. And these guys are like 350, something like that. Some of these guys, like Aaron Donald barely crushed 300 pounds. It's like for Sweat to move the way he does at 365, he's a unicorn. He's a total unicorn. I think at Texas, we've just gotten used to sort of seeing him, and we kind of know it's like, oh, it's just old Tavondre. Like he's just a big guy. Got good feet. Like it's like, no, they don't make them like that. Reporters from other teams are saying, how do you even handle this kind of physicality, all that stuff? And look, Klieman says it's going to be a huge challenge. He said, you can't reinvent the wheel. We can't abandon what we've done, and we can't try and gimmick them, right? That's not how you beat Texas. He said, we have to be able to effectively run the football. Now he said, is that with the quarterbacks? Is that with the wide receivers on jets? He said, or is it with the running backs? I thought it was weird that the first thing he said was, is it with the quarterbacks? It's made me think, oh, got my spidey senses up. Like the quarterback run is going to be an issue here. And if we just talk about keys, right? So, all right. After Texas got toasted a little bit by Dylan Gabriel, after that game, Coach Sarkisian was very open and honest in his assessment that in sort of the exit interviews from the game with the defensive coaching staff and all the rest of it, he said, moving forward, this is something that we need to put a pin in and we need to remember. And since we've already paid for this lesson with a loss, we've paid the L tax, we need to take a lesson. In life, when you take the loss and when something bad happens, the one thing you could take away from it is the fact that you at least, it's like in my son and daughter's jiu-jitsu studio, right? There's a big sign, right? And it's from Carlos Gracie. And he says, there's no losing in jiu-jitsu. You either win or you learn, right? It's kind of a cool thing to teach kids, whatever. But and I don't want to say, there's no losing in football. Of course there's losing in football. These coaches fired all the time.
There's a lot of losing in football.
Yeah. But as long as you're going to be losing, man, as long as you're paying that L tax, learn the lesson, learn. If you don't do that, what are you paying? Like you've already paid for the loss. You've already paid for it in the L column.
Man, and learn from these close wins too. Not just the losses. Learn from Houston.
Well, yeah. Well, those are the free ones, right? Like those freebies.
You got away with it.
That we talk about, those free educational opportunities. And the lesson from that, and the one that he was so intentional about, was he was talking to defensive coaches, and they had the whole bye week after this to talk about it. We need to be considerate of how we're blitzing these guys, not just blitzing. We need to be considerate of who they are whenever we're blitzing, because it felt like versus OU, these guys were just getting farther past their depth. They were getting the interior penetration that they would sometimes get, and these guards were just kind of taking them on a ride, kind of back by where Dylan Gabriel was, to where he could just step up, maneuver the pocket a little bit. The pocket's kind of collapsing around him, but it's kind of collapsing back to his sides and stuff like that, to where he just had he had free reign to run 6 feet, to where he could 6 yards, to where he could just pick up that. That's a good little gain. And then if he can make one of these linebackers miss, Next thing you know, you're in trouble. One of the things is that they have to keep these quarterback running lanes. They have to just hold them up, man. I know that Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy and these guys, of course, they're gonna penetrate and try and get upfield on these passing plays, and of course they're gonna try to get home. They can't get ridden past depth. They can't do it. They need to keep Avery Johnson in front of them. They just really need to, and they need to be able to keep him in front of them with the leverage to be able to go ahead and make that play. Should they need to, right? Once he becomes the runner, at that point, they really need to make the play or at least affect him enough to where it gives other guys time to, right, to kind of come in, gang up on that thing. The other thing was I was talking about with Jake Majors. He's going to have a big boy on his hands. Number 99. I looked him up. I can't say his name. It's like Uso Samuel Mola or something. But he's 340 pounds. He's another one of these very, very sort of thick, heavy boned, Samoan kind of Tongan kind of guys, right? And it's kind of always reminds you of like a Vita Vea, some kind of guy like this. Now, is he as disruptive? No, he's not at all. I was looking at his stats. I think he only has like 2 TFLs this season. He's not much of a big tackle guy, but what he does, man, in that stack, it's a tight fit stack, right? To where they can sometimes they'll be able to get eight men in the box if they just want to be able to shut you down and stop the run. And there's things that you have to do off of that. There's things that you can do. There he is. There's big man right there. Look at those locks. Look, I didn't know his hair was flowing quite like that.
I saw the picture, Mike. We gotta get this.
My goodness. He's not much in the production department from him. But what he does is it doesn't show up in the stat book because number 41, the middle linebacker, the one right in the middle that lines, in this defense, they basically line, they blind one guy, they line the nose right up, head up on the, if it's a balanced set, right? And one thing the Texans should do, what coaches always say, is that if a defense is a balanced defense, like a 3-3-5 is, especially one where they have the D end kind of play heavy and come inside B gap, right? That's a tight, balanced set, right? Against that kind of set, you should go unbalanced. It makes all the sense in the world, right? Because it makes them have to change everything about their alignments. It makes it to where they can't get the same number of people in the box. It stresses that one kind of dog linebacker. Offensively, I think we'll even talk about that, about how like Jordan Whittington in the slot, his splits need to be a lot wider than they normally are. I noticed that if you can get their splits a lot wider to be able to get that guy to where he's like, golly, I got to get out of the box. I got to get out of the box to be able to handle this hook curl responsibility. I can't be just right behind this strong side defensive end anymore. Right. It's a way you gotta find ways to be just a little bit unbalanced and to stress these guys and not let them to get everything in this perfect little 6-man box like they usually always can, right? But 99 is important because his job, basically, he'll be slanting one way or the other to one or the other of the A gaps. Okay. And that Texas isn't going to be running much outside zone versus this team. I think if they did, it would be a bad idea because they have linebackers that can flow over the top. They can do all kinds of things. You need to run inside zone, run stuff off tackle. You can run gap power stuff off tackle, but Jake Majors is going to need to handle number 99 kind of almost a little bit on his own. And it's a tough task. He'll be able to get a little bit of help at first. Right. But both guards, Hayden Connor, DJ Campbell, they're going to need to get upfield and make plays on these linebackers. They're going to have to. And so for Jake Majors, all he's got to do, it doesn't have to be a pretty play. He doesn't have to put this guy in the dirt. He doesn't have to pin block him. He's not going to be able to, right? Just if he can get the leverage on him, just get him, just kind of hold him, he's going to score great in the deep dig, even if it's not a pretty day, right? If it's just get it, just, kind of hold him. If you can move him a little bit, it's fine, right? But you don't even have to really drive him that much off the zone angle. with the way that things set up, because people are going to be coming over the top of him that are going to be the more important pieces, right? You got to get your guard up to that guy, right? You have to get your lead blocking H back. That's another thing. I think these H backs are going to need to be offset next to the quarterback in shotgun. They're going to need to have a running. They're going to need to have a running start. Whether it's that one safety that comes inside, whether it's the linebacker that comes inside, or that middle safety, somebody's going to need to handle that. I think in giving them the extra time, the extra aim, the extra ability to sort of set up that block and understand early where their leverage is, that's going to be very important to be able to get those lead blocks, because just because you get them set up and look, you can draw it up on paper and it looks easy, but there are certain things that you need to execute that are going to be important. And this game does not strike me as a gimme. It's one where I felt like I could just go to the old chalkboard, put on the old coach's hat, and just show you maybe one play about how you attack these guys. Sark can't play the 3-3-5. If I can do it in 30 seconds and send Blake the photos, Sark can dial something up. We're going to show you just an example of how they can attack them offensively using inside zone, using RPOs, and we're going to do that next.
They want to make this game ugly. They want it to be slow. They want the clock to run. They want it to be a disjointed game. They don't want going back and forth. They don't want a basketball game. They need the Baltimore Ravens up this game a little bit. And that drive was kind of the opposite of that. They didn't, a little bit like Texas, right? They come out throwing the football, not really having a lot of success in this first drive. And here we are, 12:25 to go in the first quarter, and we're on our second punt of the game. Nice kick. Xavier Worthy takes the punt at the 25, and he's got a lane.
Nice return. Nice return. Worthy's gone. He's gone. It's
and
over.
For all of you that have wanted Xavier Worthy off of punt returns, how do you like them apples?
Wow.
He's been close to that all season long. And that was a case of the BYU punter kicking the ball too far down the field.
That was that 75? Did I see that yard marker right? Is that a 75-yard return?
Yeah, he caught it at about the 25. That's about right.
I'm telling you what, Catch, I don't think a dude in blue pants even touched him. It
was such a good punt.
Woo!
That it backed Worthy up, but it gave him a ton of space.
Yeah.
And so he avoids the first tackle attempt, and then he's just got acres of space to run through right down the middle. There wasn't a whole lot of fancy shake and bake on that. But
well, and that's extra dangerous too. If you can set it up to where that guy doesn't have to shake and bake and he can just go blinding speed, you're done. You talk about a dude that was done. That punter from BYU is he won't hear it in film study, Catch, because they all know him. They know who he is.
He's like, none of them other dudes made tackles either.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Football with friends is fun as hell, man. I'm so happy to be here with you guys today. If you could, please like the show, subscribe to the channel. For anybody that's new to the show, man, we're here every day, 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. Central Time. And if to like the show, it's completely free. To subscribe, it's completely free. It's not like subscribing to anything on YouTube TV or, it's not. You're not going to see a charge on your card. All it does is it lets you know that a new video is up, or you'll see it in your feed. And you'll be able to see the content from all the great shows we have here on the channel. But if you like this show right now, that's a great way to help out. A great way to help out is to super chat or to email me some of your content, some photos of you. Like, I love putting up these photos of people with their scimitar oryxes or with their kids at the Texas games and stuff, man. You can email me, alex@rosterwatch.com. Also, if you're interested in sponsoring the show or working with us in any way, I always love to hear from you. Alex@rosterwatch.com. But like, if you could, just click the like button. It's easy. We should like it. Just like it.
The video. Do it
like
now.
the video. So what can we do that's like, what can we do that's smart? What can we do that makes this that would help make us smarter about what this team needs to do, right? And what can you do personally in your own life to make you smarter? And that would be using Val Garcia to sell your home. Or look, if you don't live in the DFW area, you can just let somebody else know, right? Oh gosh, look at Val. I mean, you just tell them, say, man, just wait until you see Val Garcia, right? Wait till you meet him. Wait till you hear the charm in his voice. Wait till you see the way that this man can sell, and he's going to sell your home for free. Okay, so if you work in education or you work in the ministry, he will sell your house for free. Generally, a realtor will charge you 3%, not Val Garcia. He is going to sell your house for free. Okay, for free. And if you tell him that you heard about him on Football with Friends, you don't even need to be in education. You don't need to be any of that stuff. Okay, you can just tell him, hey Val, I live in the DFW area. Say I live in Frisco, or I live in Plano, or Denton, Burleson, Fort Worth proper, wherever it is. He's got 14 different agents working underneath him. But you'll work with him directly. He's going to take care of you, stem to stern, right? Start to finish, every bit of the way. Val Garcia is our guy, and he's going to sell your house for half price. Just tell him you heard about him on Football with Friends. He's going to save you like $5K, 10K. 10K. Are you kidding me? It's like, I mean, 20K. It could be more than that. That's the smile of a man that's about to hand you a cashier's check for about $12,500. I could use $12,500. So if you're in the DFW area or you know somebody who is, please have them call Val Garcia at Valen Realty. That's valenrealty.com. You can get him at Val Garcia at valenrealty.com is his email, and the phone number. You can see it right there, 469-647-8729. Okay. Thank you guys so very much. Oh my goodness, we have a super chat. Who do we got here? Mark Mitchell, 1999 super chat. Football with Friends is fun as it is fun as hell. Yes, sir. Well, thank you, man. Mark Mitchell. If you have a question, you can also let me know, brother. I'd certainly be happy to answer anything there. But man, Mark Mitchell, thank you so much, brother. Can't thank you guys enough. I can't thank the whole chat enough, man. Thank you guys for just being here, liking the show, continuing to come back day after day as we go through all this cockamamie business. All right, let's see here. So we go to, let's see, Windows. Which one do I have here? All right, let's see if I can pull this thing up. Can you see this on your screen? Is it big enough? Can you see all this stuff? So right here, you have an offensive setup, right? You have a center right here. You have the offensive. Oh, did that mess it up? Offensive line right here, right? Quarterback, offset, running back. You have tight end here, slot here, outside wide receivers, right? This right here is the stack, right? Your end, your nose, your end, your three linebackers. Here's your safety. Here's your high safety, your other safety. Here's your corner. Here's your corner. Okay, right? This is a balanced formation versus a nice balanced 3-3-5. They would love to keep you like this, right? So what do I always say? I say one way, the easiest way, the chalk way to be able to make them a little bit less balanced is real simple. Wait, that's not the right one. That's the same one, right? No, number one. Okay. Let's see. Window 2266. That's the one. Share that one. Okay. So is it showing the one where they've gone over? Is this the one that I have my cursor on? Yeah. Blake, you're on mute. Is this the right one?
Yes, this is number 2. We're good.
Okay. So look what I've done. I've just taken the tight end over here, put him in trips, tight end, slot, outside receiver here. Same running back still offset the same way. Look what has to happen. Now they look like they're in more of a 2-high kind of here, right? This linebacker now too is going to have to kind of move out this way to defend hook curl, right? Now all of a sudden it looks more like this. Take this linebacker out of here and do this, okay? Look at this. Look at all this space over here. Okay? Now, what we'll talk about next is an actual play that you can just run after you get over to trips. Okay, so I'll go to window, go to the last one, and look at this cockamamie chicken scratch. All right. So check it out. Just bear with me here, okay? So this is an inside zone kind of run here, right? This quarterback right here is going to present the ball to the running back right here. Okay, what's going to happen here is you're just going to get your inside zone angle. So this nose tackle Depending on where he goes, he could slant inside this way. This end right here, if he's heavy, he's probably going to come inside B gap, right? They're probably going to come this. They're probably going to slant over this way. Okay, so if that's the case, you get him. You double team the nose here with the left guard and the center. Whoever gets leverage will take the nose, and then the other guy will try and climb up here to the linebacker, right? Now, with this guy, if the nose comes this way, you're going to have him right here. You're going to get the double team here, and you're going to move up to linebacker. I think the ends probably comes this way, heavy. You get both these guys, double team him. You let the tackle take him out. You let this guy get second level to this linebacker, right? Now, with the guy here, what you can do is you can do an arch block right here, right? You can do it like an arc release with your tackle up to this linebacker that we talked about was worried about defending hook curl, okay? Now, you don't have to do that. What if this end right here, he could barrel down here to B gap, right? The slant could be on in a way that we weren't imagining. And if that's the case, you just kind of take him B gap, right? And then the zone runs on and look at this, right? Okay. But in the case that you do the arc release, get to the linebacker here, now you have a read, right? You have a conflicted player right here. If he comes down hard through B gap, the quarterback's going to read it. He's going to pull it. You're going to have this guy stock block, this guy stock block. You throw it to Jatavian Sanders right there. Very, very simple. If you had a quarterback that was a little bit more mobile, right? That was a little bit more mobile, then what it would be is if he came down B gap, you would just stick with the runner. You stick with the runner at the mesh point. He comes down. He goes after the runner. You just pull and go. Right, you got this block here, you got this stock block here. You don't have to deal with these safeties until you get up here to these spots, right? So this is just a very simple. That's an inside zone off an RPO. But look at the way whenever you go unbalanced against a balanced front, you get them out of what they're doing, and you can conflict this guy. Or if he comes down, this guy decides to come, you can conflict that guy and read off him. These are very, very, very simple rules. Right? I don't understand how people think that somebody like Steve Sarkisian can't just go up to a chalkboard and just write something out like that. It's very easy. So, and there are other ways, like we talked about. If people all want to talk about this whole 3-3-5 thing, for one, Blake, have we ever figured out where the narrative came from? Like, has anybody ever presented the
I think Ian Boyd and I think Rod Babers were big on it,
and they presented the data saying that this is exactly why, and this, like, I don't have time to go read all this, but it's just, to me, it just doesn't make any sense to say that Steve Sarkisian doesn't understand how to attack a 3-3-5 stack with these three safeties. It seems so unbelievably cockamamie. If there's something to it, there could be something to it. But
let's keep a close eye on it this weekend. Let's see what happens.
Well, there's just here's the thing, dude. This is an advantage throw offense that thrives in the inside zone. Like, you can just connect the play to inside zone the same exact way, all over the football field. Or go to two. I could draw something up right now. I wish I had one of those. I should get one of those little coaches clicker thing. I could just draw it up right. I'll just drop a 2-bag set that'll conflict two different guys. With very, very simple rules, like the same rules that I just described for that blocking scheme. Now, dude, when it comes to stuff like how to defend against the coverages and things like that, that's going to be that's up to Sark, man. Like, I'm not quite as good as knowing as like, well, whenever they get out of cover 3, then they're, those are the kind of rules for quarterbacks, and those dudes were too smart to hang out with the linemen and the grunts like I was, right? But the fact of the matter is that the game plan is going to be built on the run game, and if it's built on the advantage throws, I can understand in the run game where the advantage throws come from, because you're throwing against the player that you're This is all about conflicting a player. To me, it's like, do you not see it clear as day, Blake? It's very clear. Okay, so this is exactly right. It's essentially a 3-high safety. Run and attack the seams. you've seen how you can do it. You've seen the kind of space that you can create up those seams, especially if you go unbalanced, and especially also if, like I said earlier, if we get Jay Witt just split out a little bit wider, right? Get the slot wide receiver, the number 2 wide receiver wider. You have to pull that rover or that dog linebacker, that safety, whatever they're going to call him, because the personnel is going to be different, right? They talk about this being 3 safety. It's not always 3 safeties, right? It's not always 3 safeties. It's usually, it's always 2 corners, but sometimes it's 4 linebackers, 2 safeties. It's just, they're kind of aligned sort of like safeties, just because of the function of the scheme, right? But you got to get that rover. You get him pulled over a little bit, right? That just creates more space. There are in the 3-3-5, man, there are these little bubbles and these little areas of just wide open space. Of course there's ways to of course there's ways to exploit those. Easy ways. Like it's almost like they're daring you to sometimes. Whenever I look at this scheme, I think that they'll be fine about it. Let's see. Jared asked, does Sark not know how to conflict the D? 3-3-5 is the kryptonite and all this. Well, that's kind of what I'm saying. It's like, of course he knows how to create a conflicted player. Like that's what I was just trying to explain to everybody in a very arcane and stupid way, where I just did it on a little sheet of paper. Right. One way that you can conflict a player with the arc release from the tackle and conflict the end to get the little bubble out to Jatavion Sanders if the end comes B gap and takes dive. Right. If he doesn't, you have 2 options. If you have a running quarterback, you pull it, get outside, or you can throw it. If he doesn't and he sticks there, I mean, the zone runs on and you go off the, especially in that kind of setup, because whenever we say that this defensive end is heavy, right? What does that mean? What does it mean when the defensive end is heavy, which is what it's always going to be versus these guys? This defensive end right here, he's usually going to be lined up head up in a 4 technique. Sometimes it'll be a 5 technique. So what that means is like right, outside eye of this tackle, right? But usually he'll be inside eye. But what they do, and whenever you call this guy heavy, what he does is he comes in B gap. He comes in right here, right? And if that's the case, he comes in right here. You get this guard who can carry him, and then anything this linebacker does, if he wants to scrape this way to try and get contained against this outside zone run, you get Kelvin Banks kick this dude out. This is what Kelvin Banks does best. You get your outside zone angle here. You get your cutback lane right off that linebacker. You still take the inside zone angle. It's a little bit wide, right? You generally run inside zone to a 3 technique to your cutback, but here in this spot, you're basically running inside zone to a 4 technique. And if that 4 technique comes heavy, of course you're going to be coming like this, and you wait for your kick out right here, and you cut back. It's like, and look at all the space, especially with the stock block on over here. Yeah. So I don't think that that's anything new to Coach Sark. It's certainly nothing. It's certainly nothing new to me or you or any of us who here talking about it. Let's see. Oscar Elizondo, my brother. Thank you so much, man. Thank you for the super chat. I definitely appreciate that. He says, I have a solid belief in Sark, but I've always worried about his scheme over everything ideology. He is very stubborn with how he calls plays. There have been these games where he's do you remember what was that game when I was talking about the battleship play calling? It just felt like it got disjointed. I don't know whether that was OU or whether that was I think it was U of H.
I think it was Houston. Yeah.
At a certain point, people are to say, well, they were in the 3-3-5. And Klieman talked about it, how Houston, whenever they played them, they said that they ran a different defense than they'd run all year, except for when they played Texas, and they sort of showed that versus Texas. Klieman said, though, during the week they practiced versus four guys down during the week. So he said he was really proud of his team with the way that they were able to the offensive line specifically, the way that they were able to get over to the sidelines, get it figured out, saying, hey man, they're going to do this 3-man front so much more often. Here's how we do it. We worked on it a little bit in practice, but you guys know what to do. Here's what we do. And they went and they did it and they handled it. They at least had an inkling that could be coming. It felt like Sark just had his game plan ready to go for that one. And that's what I'm saying. Is this correlation with the whole 3-3-5 thing, with the whole 3 safety thing? Or is it causation? Like, is it causing it, or is it just or is it just kind of correlated for whatever reason, and we don't know what the reason is. It could be because of it, or is it actually? Do we know that it's causing it? And to me, in that game, I just said, well, I felt like that game Sark got thrown off because it was something completely different than he expected. I don't think it was because it was a 3-by-3 box. I don't think that was it. And maybe I think about these things too simplistically. Maybe I overthink these things. Maybe it's like, maybe I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just here to talk and have some fun. Have some fun with my friends. How will Sark's play calling affect Taylor Swift and Trout? I don't take that off. Jay Ward, you know better than that.
Well, he's wondering if it's correlation or just causation that relationship is going on at the same time that we're discussing this.
I will say, I'm not even gonna say it, but dude, they seem to play better whenever she's there.
Well, you've seen the stats that they put up during the Chiefs games. Whenever she's there, Kelsey goes off.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
he doubles his average.
I hate that I'm even talking. I don't want to talk about this. I hate that I'm even talking about it. This is so bad. It's so bad. It's such a distraction. Let's see.
Oscar Elizondo.
Okay. We'll stay out of that. I'm going to get canceled. Okay. Let's see. We had a couple questions that I wanted to answer though. Okay. Did K-State run 3-3-5 last year in Manhattan? Yes. Yeah. They did. And Klieman, whenever he said, what did he say about last year? He said that what was it? He basically said that last year, well, clearly last year the run game was a little bit, it was a little bit different, right? It wasn't quite the same, right? But he said whenever he was asked if he was preparing for how they were preparing for Jonathan Brooks. I love it that people are asking, like, how do you prepare for Jay Brooks? Right? They're just like, they kind of talk about him like sweat.
He's about to eclipse 1,000 yards, Alex. That was a big question of the offseason. Oh, is Sark going to have another 1,000-yard rusher? People were worried the streak was going to end, and he's going to blow by that.
Well, I got bad news for everybody. I hate to say this is bad. I mean, he's going pro.
Yeah.
It's basically like I've heard from agents now that are propositioning him. They're telling him that they're truly in this class. Believe it or not, there's not really a consensus RB1 in the class right now. And there are agents telling him that he can be like a top 2 to 3 running back in the class. And it's a really, really weak running back class this year. It just is. And if you're a running back and you hear everything that's going on with these running backs, everything from J.K. Dobbins not being able to get paid and then getting hurt, and then nobody wanting to pay, Josh Jacobs, even the best of the best, like Jonathan Taylor having to sit out and getting fights with his owner and all this stuff just to get a good deal. But for a running back, $14 million a year for 3 years, over 3, that's something you got to fight for your life for. And even if you're one of the best, you've had like an offensive player of the year type of season under your belt. If you hear that it's a weak class, the most important thing for these guys to be able to get on the field early, to be able to show their wares. I know it sounds weird to say, but it's just true. You can back test the data. It shows this. The draft capital. It's like it's as important as like your 40 time or your BMI or your Spark score or anything like that. But guess what? The team drafted you on day 2. They're gonna play you, and they're not just gonna play you. They're going to stick with you through not through everything, but through a little bit of thick and thin. They don't want their investment to look bad. They don't want to go to their fan base and say, yeah, we're giving up on him. And they're like, but why? You spent a second round pick on him. You know, Jay Brooks can be a day 2 pick, and he can leave and go do it this year. And it's due to how good he's been. And it's, NFL teams like the fact that he's been playing behind Bijan and Roschon. It's like a two-edged, not even a two-edged sword, because that indicates it's like something that hurts him in 2 ways. It's like a two-sided feathery pillow. It's a nice soft, absorbent towel with 2 sides, right? That you can have the fact that he's been behind Bijan and Roschon and he's learned from those guys, right? On one side. In the middle, you have just what he's done this season and what he's put on film. On the other side, you have the fact that he doesn't have, like, he has like no carries. He has no tread on his tires. None. He's only had to show this for 1 year. Half these guys, if Jay Brooks came in and there was no Bijan, no Roschon, and he was Jay Brooks right from the beginning here at Texas, he'd be run down like they treat him like you treat a rental car, man. They would run him into the ground for 3 straight years before he ever had a chance to get out. Scouts like that. So he's going to be gone. Super chat. Thank you so much. Money B. Thank you, brother. Why do we run so many trap schemes? Seems the Olo is either late to get blown up for negative yards. Example, the Malik fumble play with the missed blocks. Okay, so on the fumble play, I haven't determined that exact thing just yet because I haven't done the offense. I'll have a great answer for you on that tomorrow. I do think that when they do run power, trap, gap, that kind of thing, right? And I think you're just talking about where the line, mostly blocks. So let's say let's just call it a man power play, right? It's kind of like a trap. Let's say it's being run to the left side of the field. Here, I can just pull up here. Let me just pull this thing up, and I can just look. I have this little handy dandy thing, right? Just versus a balance deal. So no, that's not the right one. Sorry, that's the one.
Number one.
Oh, is it on number 1?
Yes,
that's the one I want.
Yep.
Okay. Can you guys even see this? Like the impeccable detail and everything.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, how do I get to 1? All right, so am I on 1?
Yes, we see you.
Okay, so so I think you're talking about this kind of play, right? Where this guard right here. So what would happen here is you would hope that this end comes heavy, right? He comes B gap. If he's not, that's real hard on Kelvin Banks, right? That's going to be what's called a reach block. Okay, so he's going to have to take this end right here, and he's going to have to reach him and get him turned inside. Right? He'll come up. He's going to get him turned inside. Then right here you'll have the if this nose comes down, you'll have the double here up to this linebacker. Right? You'll have the center here if they're coming over here with the slant left. You'll have the nose here. You'll have a 3-hand technique, or no, you won't. You'll have this guy pulling out, right? Because they're blocking these guys down. They'll have this guy, and then this guy's going to block out this end right here, right? This guard then pulls around because this linebacker is going to come down once he sees this. Because let's say if he comes this way, right? This linebacker, like if this is the game that these two play, right? If this end comes inside like this to B gap, this linebacker is going to come off his right side of his hip, and he's going to come here C gap. If this guy comes C gap, this linebacker is going to come B, right? And so what we're talking about here is a play where they block down on all these guys, right? And this dude pulls and kicks out either him or him. Okay. Real easy. If he does, actually, I was saying if he doesn't come heavy, right, and he comes outside, then he's actually the kick out man, because Banks would realize I need to come because this linebacker's coming B gap, and I'm gonna attack him, right? Does that make sense, Blake?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm following.
So the end is right here, or either the linebacker's right here, and he comes and kicks the guy out. Whenever Texas runs it to this side. Whenever Texas runs it with DJ Campbell pulling, like they've actually, like that's been a plus EV kind of play, right? The play that's not is when they run it to this side. For some reason, Christian Jones is good at everything except getting this dang seal block over here. And it always turns out that him and Hayden Conner end up on the same guy, and then they have a linebacker spill over, and the play gets blown up. So I would just say, Money B, I don't know why they run it. You have to have a good, solid run mix of power and of zone. I mean, Klieman was even talking about that today, that's an important feature of what they do. It's an important feature of what Texas does. It keeps the defense on its heels. It makes the linebackers have to anticipate different rules for their spilling and their scraping, right? Over the top, what kind of game that they're going to be playing with their down linemen. You're going to have to mix it up. I would just say, to answer your question, I would think that what people should hope for is if Texas does run that particular play, that they run it to the left rather than running it to the right, because all we've seen all year is when they do run that play to the right, it seems to get screwed up every single time. So we're going to talk more about that. We're going to talk, Prize Picks, Taco Tuesday, Opposite Tuesday, Costanza Tuesday, more keys. Is this Keys to Victory? No, this is How to Attack. What's the name of the show? How to Attack K-State?
How to Attack Kansas State. Yeah.
Is that on the thumbnail? How to attack them?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh gosh, we're some attacking sons of guns today here on Football with Friends, and we're coming back with more right now. Next.
Think about that season. So you guys had a bye week.
Yes.
In between that game and playing, ironically, Chad, at Rice after a week off.
We played Penn State. Won, of course. No one thought we could. On the road in Happy Valley. Had a bye week. Everybody thought we were all a pats on the back and you're great and this and that. And then we play Colorado and that occurs. And then we have a bye week after that too.
Yep. Y'all went bye week to start the season.
Ridiculous. Yeah. So we had to wait another week. Then we played Rice, and that fueled us though the rest of the season, man.
So how did y'all do it? That's the question I wanted to ask. Was you said you guys had the hangover after that Colorado game, but then y'all come back and basically didn't lose the rest of the season until you get to the bowl game. Right? So what happens after a disappointing loss that lets you know you're back and not still hungover? When does the hangover end? When did it end?
Speaking personally, that's when you have to do the self-reflection. Each guy has to go in and do that deliberation. Did I do my best, or where do I need to get better? And to have 2 weeks to think about that. After 2 weeks of being told you're the greatest and Texas is back and yada, 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 after winning at Happy Valley, they're ranked, you're not. And then it reverses. You did a complete 180. Now you're sulking for 2 weeks and you're chomping at the bit to get back out there, but you have to wait. So just personally, you rededicate yourself. That's what you do. You rededicate yourself. You endeavor to make up for the mistakes, to get in that film room. I'm going to work a little bit harder. I'm going to lift those weights a little bit longer. And that's what you have to do. And it's difficult. Now they've had to sit there for 2 weeks and think about the mistakes. And when they're little bitty mistakes that shouldn't occur, that's what eats at you. That's one thing if the team is that much better than you. But they're not. Oklahoma wasn't. And Colorado wasn't that much better than them. We just made the mistakes where they didn't. So you have to, one of my favorite quotes, Socrates, or Socrates, as we say in Texas, a life not self-examined is a life not worth living. Do that self-deliberation, man. You gotta sit there and reflect on your play and what type of player you want to be moving forward. And that was the fuel to and the catalyst to get us moving back in the right direction.
Yes, Football with Friends is fun as hell. I think my kids think things are about to be fun as hell around here. Their mom just got home. I just walked out, I'm just like, what's the plan? So they're like, when are we meeting everybody? They're like, well, we're meeting right after your show. I'm like, right after the show.
Right after the show.
The show, man. I gotta at least have some tequila, or be like, do we even have beers? Are we gonna put them in a little bag or something? I can't walk around like come on. What are we doing here? You guys going out with the kids? Has anybody talked about their best Halloween costume? Oh gosh, look at Cody. He's saying PFF had Baron Cockamamie. BFF had Baron Sorrell as 11th in the Big 12 last year in pressures, and this year he's tied for 5th, trailing by 3 pressures. I told you guys. I'm not saying. I'm just
Cody also sent us this chart from last year.
Hit stick. Oh yeah, the hit stick rating. Look at Jay Brooks up on that thing. Top speed times body weight. So that's that's out of the corners, the safeties, the wide receivers, and the running backs. And so you're definitely it's all your bigger guys for sure because it measures it measures the body weight, right? So you're not going to have the Xavier Worthy or any of these guys on there, despite the fact they're so much faster in a vacuum. But that just goes to show you, man, Jonathan Brooks packs a punch, dude. Ryan Watts, Roschon, those guys did it. I mean, like Roschon last year, either most or second most. It was like him and Bijan Robinson as far as forced missed tackles. If you do listen to PFF, I tend to listen to him more about stuff like that than these cockamamie grades that they give out. So bad. Okay. So we've talked about how the 3-3-5 allows a lot of kind of bubbles or like areas of open space, right? You can attack the seams in the run and the pass game. We've sort of outlined how that's true, right? That's a way to attack K-State. We've talked about the unbalanced sets. We've shown how that stuff can affect the way that they line up and can make them go to too high and can get you wide open spaces off tackle in the run game. Okay. We've talked about the tight front, getting the ball to the soft spot on the edges. And doing what we haven't talked about so much is about the wide receivers. They need to go block these safeties. They need to go block these guys. One of the big things that you can do in this deal is the crack blocks, right? If these plays are going to be getting extended to the outside, which I would not recommend as much outside zone as usual. I think this needs to be an inside zone. And as much as Money B hates to hear it, I think man gap and power stuff, inside zone, man gap power, C gap stuff. I'm not sure it needs to be wide zone stuff, but in the case that it is, those crackbacks from the wide receivers can be really, really helpful as these linebackers and that rover safety will flow play side. But you need to get your nose in them. Like that's a collision, right? That isn't a stock block. That's a crack block. It takes, I'm not sure AD Mitchell's, hopefully AD's or hopefully Adonai's ready for some action like that. So there's that. There's use the H back flanked to the quarterback, right? Let him kick out the overhang player. Whenever the inside goes, okay. So whenever the 5-tech goes heavy, we talked about what a heavy 5-tech is, right? It's a 5-tech who crosses the tackle's face to get to B gap, right? When that guy goes heavy, get the flank, get JT Sanders if he's completely healthy and able to do this, or if he's not, heck, you could get Gunnar Helm or even Malik Agbo. It's fine. Like this is a thing where it would be fine to use Agbo, all right? As long as he can break down and be able to kick out the overhang. Get into trips. We've talked about that because it breaks the stack, right? These are all just easy things, right? And we've talked about the wide receiver splits as far as the slot. All just little simple things you can get going from the very beginning to be able to make sure that this advantage throw RPO that's built off of inside zone run concepts is sound and it's creating the most space possible, because you need to give Malik Murphy that space. On defense, I'll talk more about it as I get to watch more of this Kansas State offense. I think you guys can kind of read by now that I'm super worried about the kid, man. I'm worried about him. I think Sark needs to be scared. Like I get the Halloween scaries over this thing.
I had a question earlier because I saw a comment about Deuce Vaughn in the chat. Are you more scared of Avery Johnson this year than you were of Deuce Vaughn last year?
Well, the thing about Deuce that was so scary, man, is that and it's ostensibly. Is that what does that mean? Because,
I don't know.
because what I meant to say is ostensibly it should be the same at the NFL level, but we just haven't seen this really happen. What does ostensibly mean?
Apparently, or purportedly, but perhaps not actually.
It's perfect. because I'm not sure it's actually true, but ostensibly, right? Hypothetically, but perhaps not actually. It was perfect use of it. I shouldn't even ask.
You have an incredible vocabulary,
but I don't ever know what it means.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you do. You use the words in the right way.
Right.
But you don't know the exact definition.
It just comes to me. Ostensibly, you would you'd think at the NFL level he'd be able to do it the same way. What was so hard about him is you just don't ever know where he is. He's so short. He just pops out. It's like he pops out like it's like you're at your kid's slumber party and the kids are playing, eating pizza and blowing kazoos and stuff, and some little guy jumps out of the closet. You're just like, what? Where did he come from? I wasn't expecting any of this. It's like get away from my kids. It's the same kind of thing. He was scary like that, man. Like he would literally come from out of nowhere. It's impossible to defend. But that seemed like it was on a play-to-play basis. It didn't seem like he was a guy that was just, man, Avery Johnson just feels like a guy that if he gets going with the run game and things break down with Texas and their ability to hold up those run lanes versus the quarterback using his legs, that could be a systemic issue that lasts throughout the whole entire game, right? It feels like he's a guy that could, if they use him correctly. And look, I could be completely wrong and look stupid because I look stupid anyway, right? I mean, look at the hat I'm wearing. I like that. I'm gonna end up looking dumb sometime. A lot of the time. He could not have any impact on the game. I worry about it. I think the team should be worried about it too. I hope Savion Red or somebody's playing him in practice. I hope something like that's happening. On defense. Those run lanes. Okay. We've made it clear. I'm worried about it. Don't get past depth if you're penetrating a gap or B gap. Just don't do it. Don't do it. If there's any possible way that you can, if you're Baron Sorrell, right? Once you get to the quarterback's depth, right? Take your inside hand. Okay. Take your inside hand. Push his outside shoulder toward the sideline, right? Like this, and then just rip through and just go and just point your hips right to the quarterback, right? Don't let him ride you past the quarterback. Don't let him ride you past the quarterback. Inside hand to outside shoulder, rip under, through, hips to the quarterback, attack the quarterback. Right? Don't ever, never, none. Never let him ride you past the quarterback. It's going to end in disaster. And do you know what? They should be converting outside speed to inside power like that anyway. That's just proper technique. Okay, so just how about this? Forget about the outside hand and the rip and the hips toward just use proper technique. Whatever they're teaching you to do, just do it right. Just do your job. Okay. With the inside penetrators, it's a more specific job, right? It's a more specific job. So there's that. And there's also the most important one. And it goes back to the very beginning. And here we've come full circle before we talk waivers. And if people want to hear waivers? I mean, it's a decently big week on the waiver wire.
I'm
but
curious.
we'll also do a Taco Tuesday, a reverse Taco Tuesday.
Fade.
Fade. I'm going to pick the ones I think are bad, but I don't know who's bad because I don't know anything about basketball. So I'm even at a disadvantage picking what I think is bad. The other thing, it comes back Alfred Collins and we come full circle, right? This defense needs to stay fresh. These defensive linemen need to stay fresh. Get off the field. Just get off the field. No long drives, no swindles. Here's the thing. It's a worry for another day, but the depth on the defensive line for Texas, the interior defensive line, It is at this point in their development. It's not good. And I know that sounds bad for next year. I'm not doom and gloom for next year. I feel like there's probably things that they can do. Okay. And I mentioned Alfred Collins specifically because we all know that Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy are going to be fine. But K-State has a left guard who's a dude. I mean, he's a dude. I wish I knew his name. I think it's like Cooper Beebe. Can you look up and see if there's a guy named Beebe or something like that?
Cooper Beebe, that's a different guy. Who's that?
Something like that. I even forgot his number. I think he's either 65 or 50. Can you maybe look at those numbers for me?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up. Let's see. Offensive line.
He's a dude. He doesn't look like a dude. He looks kind of pudgy.
Yeah, Cooper and Camden Beebe are both on the team. 50 and 58.
Okay.
Cooper's a senior, number 50.
Yeah, 50. Now, he doesn't look like much. He looks kind of pudgy, a little bit short arms. Don't let him fool you. He's a dude. And I think I recognize him from before, you know? I think I recognize him from last year. I said, oh, this guy, man, right? This dude again. He can move bodies. He can move bodies. And excuse me. Oh, I wish I had a sneeze button I could push. Sorry about that. It's a little something. It must be that Halloween in the air. I'm allergic to candy. Oh my God, the Squid Game. We need to talk about it. Okay, well here, I promise we're gonna get to the Squid Game. My worry with him is not with Sweat, not with Murphy, not with Collins. Because Collins, I don't think is going to make any plays on this guy. Collins doesn't really make plays. He just doesn't. He flashes a play every now and then. He's a flashy player. He's a good player. He's going to get drafted based on his flashes. And an NFL team is going to hope that they can get that out of him more consistently than it's been at Texas. Do you know what, though? He's really big and he's really long and he's still hard to move. He's still hard to move, even if he's not dancing around these guys with these magical, these magical 365-pound ballerina feet like Sweat has. Or this sort of bulldog mixed with a shark that Byron Murphy is. He's still hard to move, at least. Do you know who's not hard to move? Trill Carter. He's not. He's mincemeat versus this guy, dude. Do you know who's not hard to move? I hate to say it. Vernon Broughton. He's going to be in trouble versus this guy. Aaron Bryant, kiss it goodbye. It's just not. I would say honestly, if you're to the point where you're putting in Aaron Bryant, just put in 99. Put in Sadir Mitchell. He'll at least be harder to move. He'll be harder to move. I would not put Trill out there. But they have three guys who could ostensibly be lined up on his outside eye at the three tech. Three. That don't worry me. Sadir Mitchell, just schematically from a kind of galaxy brain, that's just a galaxy brain idea that just kind of came to me. But gosh, if you're gonna put Aaron Bryant gets washed away by dudes from BYU, right? Trill Carter goes onto the ground more than, I mean,
whole bunch of milk carton guys,
dude. More than guys like, I mean. Texas has had some players that can get moved, right? You remember like the Paul Boyettes and stuff. I mean, like it's different than that, dude. He can get put in the dirt, right? Aaron Bryant's big. He can get moved. So with that left guard, man, I would say here's the thing. This week is the week to maybe, if you need to do it. We always talk about let's get strength on strength. Let's get Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat out there at the same time. Maybe not this week. Maybe make sure that on that and don't switch them. Like they'll sometimes switch from side to side and stuff. Just don't. Just keep Murphy. Like I know Murphy doesn't play three technique much, but let him do it this week. Always have Tavondre Sweat on him. Always have Collins on him. Don't for the life of me. You can't put Trill Carter on 50. Things are not going to end well in the run game. Certainly not the quarterback run game with kid magic. It's just it's not gonna go well. So that's it. That's how you attack K-State. I believe that there was a question that we had. Oh, Money B saying there is college football tonight. Money B, who the hell is playing tonight? Saginaw Valley State versus West.
It's Tuesday. Do we have some action?
Yeah, I don't know.
Some action going on. Northern Illinois, Central Michigan, and Buffalo versus Toledo.
Oh, all right. So here it is. Here's the Squid Game for when you're out trick or treating with your kids. All right. So have I already told you guys this game?
I know the game, but I don't think you've told them.
Okay, so here's what you do. You come home with the kids. You tell them that they can't eat any of their candy while they're out trick or treating, right? And whenever they get home, you let them get all the candy out, and you tell them that they can have one piece of candy tonight, right? And they can choose their favorite piece. Okay,
Single piece, one piece.
Yeah, one single piece. It's great. I mean, you got to let them have some fun. It's Halloween after all.
One piece, yeah.
But here's the thing: you get out a set of dice. What I do is I turn on the song. I go to the SNL version of it's who sings it. It's the Peter. What's his name? Pete Davidson. Who does the SNL Squid Game skit where it's all like the kind of the like the rednecks that are all broke and their trucks are broken down, and so they go play the Squid Game, right? Well, you turn that on and you play that song, and it's a song about the Squid Game. And what you do is you have your kids roll the dice, right? And the first thing that they do is they can't eat the candy, but they have to separate it out into chocolates and into fruity ones, okay? And you get two separate bags, all right? Then what happens is you roll the dice. If you roll an even number, a 2 or a 4 or a 6, you can choose a chocolate candy. If you roll a 3 or a 5, you get to choose a fruity candy. All right. If you roll a 1, though, you get no candy, and you got to roll again. That's the real Squid Game. If you roll 1 a second time, you take all the candy that both you and your little brother or you and your big sister all got together. You take it out, take both bags, and you march it directly out to the trash, and you throw it all away. And it's done. There's no more candy, period. And so look, they're not going to roll double snake eyes, but if they do, you have to hold to it. And through the course of the whole time that they have candy, they can't come home and eat a bunch of candy and stuff. They got to wait till after dinner. If they eat their dinner, then they have the opportunity to play the Squid Game again, right? And they can get their piece of candy like that. It's a good way to do it. It's good family fun. It's good, clean fun.
Well, you said the kids love it.
What?
You've said your kids love it. Like,
they love getting it. I think they'd like to get a little more candy, but I just say
to one piece is.
I just say, man, it's just like the song, man. That's what happens in the Squid Game. So like sometimes you're not going to get any candy. It's just like that's what happens.
Have they rolled snake eyes before? 2 1s?
No.
Okay.
No. If they did, I would definitely. I mean, but if they did, you walk both things out there. You walk them right out. You throw it away. But
Jay Ward makes his kids clip his toenails for candy. That's a different way.
Yeah, that sounds more odd than
the Squid Game.
Than the Squid Game. My God,
I might have to get that checked out in CPS. I don't know about that.
All right, prize picks. Let's just see what they have on docket for tonight. All right. Oh wow. You guys can always use the promo code OrangeBloods at Prize Picks for 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Today is Taco Tuesday. Oh gosh, is this even a good taco, Blake?
None of them are good tacos. I've said this.
Do you know what I'm going to do? Do you know what I'm going to do?
These tacos and these discounted plays have been constant L's lately.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to find Paul George, and I'm just going to get him at his regular one, and take the under on it.
Yeah, you should. That's
you know
a good play. That's a good play.
Because the tacos never hit.
I mean, like they'll hit, but they're like 50-50 at best. It's not.
Yeah. So I think that they give you the ones that they think are bad plays.
Yes.
And then so if it's a bad play, even at 20.5, then it's gonna be a bad play at this. Okay. So do we have college football tonight? So who do we have? NIL. Who even is NIL? Northern Illinois. Cody, do you have anything on this from unabated? Any edge guys? Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. I don't know anything about this.
Well, we got a funny comment from Oscar Elizondo. If my parents would have played Squid Games with me, maybe I wouldn't have been obese as a kid. Who am I
I'm,
kidding? I
sure
still
you-
would have been.
I'm sure you were fine, Oscar Elizondo. Let's see. So receiving yards, rush yards. All right. Well, here's this thing for this quarterback. 28.5 rush yards seems like it's probably, oh gosh. I want to find one that just looks absurdly high or absurdly low. See, this looks absurdly high, right? Penny Boone, the Toledo running back.
112.5.
112.5. It seems too high, right? So
What about DeQuan Finn? That's a hell of a name.
Does that seem too high? Oh gosh, he went for 180 before.
Seems too low. Nobody's also gone for 25 and 34.
It seems too low. So this seems too high. So I'm going to go over on this guy. And this guy, it seems he's the quarterback, but it seems too low. So I'm going to go less. No, it seems too low. So I'm going to go less on that guy. All right. The Costanza play.
The Costanza play. I love it.
All right. There we go. $20 down the old tubes here. All right. There we go. So we got that. Anything else? Oh, waivers. Okay. Waivers. Who do you want to go pick up this week? So at running back, Leonard Fournette signed with the Buffalo Bills. It looks like he passed his physical. So if you're in need of running backs, maybe you kind of go and give him a look. Tyjae Spears still out there. Derrick Henry never got traded. So that's out of the question. But Tyjae Spears is playing basically 40-45% of the snaps. If anything were to happen to Derrick Henry at this point, Tyjae Spears is probably the most valuable handcuff in fantasy. So make sure you go and pick him up. Also, Darrell Henderson is still out there in like 55% of leagues. Go pick up Darrell Henderson if he's available. He's been good the last 2 weeks. We're not expecting Kyron Williams back for the Rams until week 12, and they're going to have to lean more heavily on the run if Matthew Stafford is hurt. At wide receiver, Jahan Dotson was dropped in a lot of leagues. He's available in more than 50% of leagues. So if he went out there, he's averaged 9 targets over the last 2 weeks. Make sure and go get Jahan Dotson for the Commanders for the football team. Former first-round pick, stud player. He just had a really, really bad start to the season, but he's been running hot these last 2 games. Demario Douglas for the Patriots has been getting massive targets, and Kendrick Bourne last week just got hurt. So go pick up Demario Douglas as well. And then at tight end, I told you last week, go get Trey McBride if you didn't get him. I told you last week, but he came right in hot. One of my favorite tight ends of the Senior Bowl ever from Colorado State. Mackey Award winner, came in with 14 targets in his first game with Zach Ertz on IR. So go pick him up. And while we're talking about the Cardinals, I mean, they just traded away Josh Dobbs to
Minnesota, right?
Minnesota with Kirk Cousins going down. It would Money B. Oh, hold on. I'll get to this in 1 second. I can't believe that he did this. I can understand it in redraft and dynasty. Oh gosh, buddy. That's tough. Is it dynasty or is it keeper? Oh gosh, I'm tilted by this from Money B. The recommendation is Kyler Murray is still available in like 55% of leagues. Go pick up Kyler if you're in any kind of quarterback trouble. I know you probably hate him, but the fact of the matter is he's one of only, what is it? One of like 6 or 7 quarterbacks ever for every season of his career. He's been a top 10 fantasy quarterback. Like he should be rostered once he's healthy. Money B says he dropped Kendre Miller. And I can understand that in redraft, but he said in dynasty, oh gosh, just a rare L from our guy Money B. Money, see if you can get him back. I'm not sure he's going to clear waivers, man. But oh man, you should have consulted with your boy Alex before you did that. I'm holding on to him in my redraft keeper league just because I know what a value he's going to be next year. In a dynasty, I would blow my whole free agent acquisition budget on him if somebody dropped him in one of my leagues. In fact, I would give up a 2024 second round rookie pick for the guy. So see if you can get him back off of waivers. All right, we got candy to go get, or to hopefully keep our kids away from. That's what I would recommend. Keep your kids safe. And honestly, here's the thing, dude. Make sure that you don't go to any creepy neighborhoods where they might try and, like, when I was a kid, there was this big scare about putting the razor blades inside the candy and stuff like that. I'm just saying this whole candy thing is going too far. All right. So don't let them get too much. Have some fun. Go to Specs. Grab some beers. We're going to meet back up, huddle back up here tomorrow. We're going to trust me, we're going to have plenty of stuff to talk to of the offense. We'll have rankings with Anwar. So much to do, so much to say, so much to get to. I didn't even get to the deer carcass stuff. That's how much I didn't get to half this. I didn't get to half of it. Please like the show. Please subscribe. Please go check out some merch. We have it available in the pin message above in the chat for you guys, and you can get it right there by using the QR code. If you guys watch this later, I appreciate you guys, man. I can't thank you enough for all of our people who are in here, our friends that are in here chat every day. You guys mean the world to us. We love you. It would not be a show without you. For Blake, I'm Alex.